Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of the WikiLinks podcast. My name's George, I'm back, and so is Dean. Hello, Dean.
We're back.
Before we jump straight into the show, it might be worth talking about what a comedy of errors it was setting up this episode.
It was quite pathetic.
It genuinely was quite pathetic. I tend to pod in the garage, but no internet or hotspots were working in there, so we couldn't hear each other when we first tried to set up. Dean, you were running late because you tried to cook yourself some pumpkin, but didn't parboil it, just shoved some raw pumpkin in the oven. Didn't cook in time, so you had to chomp down some raw pumpkin, did you not?
It was lush.
And I have my daughter's a bit sick, so I'm now in the house with a baby potentially shouting downstairs on the pod and a dog in the room, in the bedroom. And Dean's partner is also showering at the same time, so we might get noises of flushing toilets and showers.
When she's watching some YouTube video, is the mic picking that up? Or
it's not, no.
That's good. These noise-cancelling microphones are a wonder.
Yes, apart from the noises, apart from other noises. Yes, yeah.
It should really cancel those and leave the others, but...
So, for the season, I am leading 2-1, aren't I, Dean? I'm in the lead.
Unfortunately.
But I'm only one goal ahead if we reference it to soccer and football, because that's fun, isn't it? You love a bit of football, don't you, Dean?
I do. I love kicking a ball.
Would you not be called, I believe the phrase in England, now please don't take abuse here or get upset. I think the phrase used in England is FKW, is it not? Full kit wanker.
That's me, yes. I'm often spotted on the Sunshine Coast, dressed as a cunt.
In a full kit with the socks and everything, I believe, right? And the
full socks,
the
full regalia.
Football boots.
Yeah. Even though I haven't played football for many years because I'm so unfit.
But at least if anyone sees you in the full kit, they'll assume that you can, and that's the point, I suppose.
Living the dream.
So, who wants to go first this week? Should I go first this week?
I'm chewing a sweet at the moment.
Now that was a big noise. What was that?
That's Joy, like trying to get ready or something, and getting things off the desk, and yeah.
That's it. Like I said, I think people are gaining an understanding of the quality, so they won't really be surprised by these sort of things.
No, and like I say, I'm chewing a sweet at the moment. Let me just crunch it.
Crunch it, Dean.
Crunch it good.
Crunch it real good. Isn't that a song, isn't it? Has this taken a slight homoerotic undertone?
Well, there's a female in the room, so perhaps it's like yaoi, which my partner likes.
Yeah, do you?
Unless it's Tweak and Craig, no.
So just in case anyone doesn't know, a yaoi is homoerotic manga.
And South Park did a thing on it.
Yes, they did. They probably brought it into the real mainstream, didn't they, South Park? They beat us to it again.
They did.
So how's that sweet, Dean?
It's kind of choked me on the way down, but other than that, it was nice.
No, there's another homoerotic phrase there.
If we've started in fine fettle.
And I'll go first. And so I've just taken the lead there, so sorry about that. But I'll go first, Dean. Your first path, well, actually, it's your only path because we have one each, is from Bill and Ted to flatulence.
Oh, now there's a path.
Now, while you look for that, I am going to cut out this silence and trap a giant spider that's in the room. Isn't this professional? So bear with me. Jump straight on the Wikipedia page for Bill and Ted, and you can either vamp with the listeners, or if I come back and you say that was shit vamping, I'll just cut all this out. So take it away, Dean. I'm going to trap a spider.
Okay, so obviously where our friend George is located, there are still spiders. However, if it was me talking about trapping a spider, it may well be one that traps me, sinks its redback teeth into my torso and lovingly suckles upon my juices. So anyway, Bill and Ted, in case you've not heard of it, that it's an American science fiction comedy film created by Chris Matheson and Ed Solomon, and it stars Keanu Reeves. So I'm not entirely sure why I've been challenged to go from Bill and Ted to flatulence. It's an interesting link. So I'm scrolling down now, and I'm looking at the page. There's a number of films, and that was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which is the first film in the series. Now, if I remember rightly, the second film does involve playing chess with the Grim Reaper. That was Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. And they've made a new film now, which is Bill and Ted Face the Music, because they are known for their air guitar and shite music.
I'm back.
He's back. So
how did that go?
It would be a very short interval for the audience, because no doubt you will cut that entire segment.
Okay, it might be replaced with the spider catching music.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to that.
So are you still on the page for Bill and Ted?
Yes, for Bill and Ted, because I wouldn't skip ahead without you. It just wouldn't be fair. So I've explained what Bill and Ted is to the audience, and I've scrolled right down to the bottom. And the very last sentence is to do with Halloween Horror Nights. And apparently in 2013, Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure show was cancelled following allegations by Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay.
Jamie Lee Curtis Tate? Is that Jamie Lee Curtis's name now?
I've only known her as Jamie Lee Curtis. Is her name Jamie Lee Curtis Tate?
Well, seeing as it's not a clickable link, it may be a different Jamie Lee Curtis. Perhaps it's Jamie Lee Curtis Tate.
Okay. I had not heard of her.
No, but from Vice, which I'm sure you have heard of.
I have, yes, the website.
Yes. But yes, anyway, the allegations by whoever this person is from Vice was that it was homophobic and racist.
What, the Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure show?
Yes.
Okay. Does it go into why?
It doesn't.
It doesn't. That's a shame. I'd be quite curious as to why Bill and Ted's excellent Halloween adventure show had homophobic and racist overtones.
So would I. Maybe we can watch it at some stage.
Yes, well, everyone can YouTube it after this. I bet not many people had heard about it until now. Maybe we shouldn't plug it in case it is extremely racist and homophobic.
It could be. It's quite likely.
We did talk about blackface last week, and looks like we're going back there.
Well, no, I was thinking maybe homophobia, because there is a certain amount of rectal activity involved in homosexuality.
Now, that's one of the most redactive things that we've said on the pod. That's for sure. That's definitely getting left in. Let's have the complaint. Let's have the complaints flow.
Bring it on.
So take it away, Dean. Is that going to be your first click? Is it to homophobia?
I think so. I like how last week we were talking about being in the Pride Parade and how inclusive this show is, and now we're going for homophobia because it might link to flatulence.
Oh, dear me. So that's the first click. That's one. He's on one. He's gone from Bill and Ted to homophobia to try and find his way to flatulence. Because, of course, we know that only homosexuals involve in any kind of rectal stimulation.
Exactly. I mean, I take it up the bum.
Right, well, there you go.
Right. What is this now?
Oh, fucking hell.
Dear.
So
I can't believe that's on the record now.
Yeah.
And then... Right. Oh, dear.
Oh, dear. Right, well, having said that, Dean, and informing us of that, you're on homophobia.
I am, and it's obviously a disgraceful thing, homophobia. So I don't want to rest on this for too long, other than to comment on the fact that it's so outdated and just beyond any fathomable sensibility or common decency to treat anyone differently, regardless of
based on what they like to do in the bedroom,
sexuality. Exactly. It really is total bollocks.
It would be laughable if it didn't have such a disgraceful history behind it.
And yeah, things like homosexual panic, which is apparently a clickable link here, is a bit strange.
Now, do you want to tell us what homosexual panic is? Should I play the noise? Is it worth learning?
I guess it's a term coined by psychiatrist Edward J. Kempf in 1920 for a condition of panic due to the pressure of uncontrollable perverse sexual cravings.
Uncontrollable, perverse sexual cravings. Who defines these as perverse?
Wankers.
I mean, surely it's not perverse if it's in your head and nobody's getting hurt or anything like that. Why would it be perverse?
Exactly. So I think moving on from hatred, because there really is enough hatred and discrimination in this world, I'm just going to click the link for gay men.
Amen, did you say?
No, there isn't a link for amen in here, although there is something about Christianity in the Bible. I said gay men with a G.
No, that's right. I heard gay men.
Oh, I thought you said amen as in like saying a prayer or something.
Oh, amen. Gay men.
Yes.
Amen to gay men.
Amen to gay men. Definitely.
See, we're inclusive, aren't we, on this pod?
We are.
So that's number 2. You're on now. Gay men.
That's what I'm on.
It's an odd Wikipedia page. It's not something I would have thought existed, really.
No. I mean, yeah, I thought it would have just been one page for like homosexuality, not a specific gay men page. But there you go. And
what is your dare I ask what your planned route in your head is here?
I'm hoping that there's something to do with bums. I don't. I'm just.
Now this takes the cake for the most potentially triggering episode. We're only on episode 3.
I know it's. I didn't intend it to go this way, and I hope when you chose this link, you didn't intend it to go this way either.
I certainly did not. No, I'd found. I thought of a much more kind, friendly route.
So you tested this out?
I believe I did. Yes, I did test this out. It is possible, and it even linked to something we discussed last week.
Ah, okay. Well, that's gone now.
It's too late.
It's too late, mate.
It wasn't how. I mean, I only thought when I came up with the link, I thought of a clever way to get to flatulence. The harder bit would have been from getting from Bill and Ted to this middle point. But I must say, I did not think of going down the route of homosexuality or bum sex.
No. Well, more fool you.
Yep, sorry.
So
what are you looking for on this page of gay men?
I'm desperately clutching at straws and hoping that there's something about the practice of male sex. There was something here that there was a link here. Men who have sex with men. So I'm going to click on that.
Men who have sex with men?
Is a page, apparently.
I see it. There's the link. Men who have sex with men. And is that going to be your third click?
It is.
There's the ding. And we're on the page now for men who have sex with men. Yes, it really is a Wikipedia page, and that is the title.
And I might be possibly getting somewhere in the ballpark here because I can see here gay sexual practices does involve anal sex, and there is something for bottom here, but it appears to be a sexual position rather than the actual bottom, which would have been quite handy.
Now, I was once told by Stephen Fry that the majority of penetrative anal sex is between men and women and not between men. So there's an interesting fact.
Yeah, I think that's it's a good point to make.
I mean, he told me this on TV.
Yeah, I was going to get to that point that you don't know Stephen Fry personally, do you, yet?
I don't yet. He didn't tell me this over a glass of wine at a cocktail night. He said this on a documentary about homophobia on the TV, I believe.
Well, I tell you what, I'm going to go for anal sex without the use of a condom.
And I hope you're enjoying the show, Mum and Dad. I know Dean's parents enjoy the show as well. So, Dean's next click, which is going to be number 4, is. Do you want to tell us that again?
Well, it actually links to a page which is bareback with sexual act in brackets. So that's a nicer way of putting it. So let's just say I'm on the page for bareback.
So he's clicked straight to bareback, which is number 4.
Something on here that is actually referring to the the bottom.
You're looking for bottom, are you? As in backside or bum?
Yes.
And how is it? How are you doing? Are you reading through this entire page? There's also something on here called bug chasing. Now, do you want me to read that while you have a look around?
You can, mate.
Right. I do not know what bug chasing is, listeners. I don't think Dean does either. Do you?
No.
No. Okay, I don't either. So this I'll be learning as I read. So let's see. We can all learn together. Bug chasing. An extreme form of barebacking is bug chasing, in which seronegative gay men actively seek to be infected with HIV. These men may seek to contract HIV in order to not have to constantly live in fear of becoming infected. Now, that is a remarkable piece of information.
Tragic.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a funny line about something to do with chasing bugs or cockroaches or something a bit sort of fun and silly, but it's not remotely fun or silly.
It's not.
I'm going to leave bug chasing there.
That's a very good idea.
And I'll just ask you how you're doing with looking for something a bit more fun. Bottom.
I'm gonna jump straight in and click on anal sex because I'm sure this will link to the anus, which should link to flatulence.
Okay, there's click number 5, and on the family show WikiLinks, we're now on to anal sex.
And there you go. In the first paragraph, in the first sentence, there is the link for anus, the human anus. And here we are.
Are you going straight to that?
Straight in.
Straight in to the human anus. That's number 6.
Now, I do believe that this is probably quite a good page for the show because there is a rather large amount of shit that's spouted on this show. And I would say that this episode so far has definitely contained the most verbal diarrhea from the two of us. And there is some rather disgusting imagery on this page that I would not suggest visiting.
Well, I would say they're merely biological images, not something I would particularly like to stare at.
No.
But I wouldn't call them, would you call them pornographic or medical?
Definitely medical, but to some, yeah, pornographic, I guess.
Some pornographic. Again, if you can't access Pornhub because you're at work or something like that, you can just jump on the Wikipedia page for human anus.
That's it. And apparently bumhole redirects here. So, and it's not to be confused with bunghole.
What is bunghole?
I'm hovering over. A bunghole is a hole bored in a liquid-type barrel to remove the contents.
Like when you're brewing alcohol or of some sort?
Exactly that.
I see. Got it. So you don't want to confuse the anus with a bunghole?
No, that's it.
Okay.
I mean,
Thanks for that, Wiki.
Exactly. If you were to put your tongue in a bunghole, you might get some tasty alcohol. If you were just keep on looking for whatever the hell it is you're looking for. I feel somewhat thrown. I know. I'm kind of wishing we could start from the beginning, but it doesn't work that way, does it?
It doesn't, unfortunately. Not. No, we're here, and that's the way it is.
Okay, so I've scrolled down because, essentially, I have won.
Oh,
well, not won, but I've completed the challenge for today. But it's in the other section, which is to do with the different clinical functions and significance of the human anus. There's itchiness, which apparently is called pruritus ani, which can affect the anus area.
That's an itchy arse, is it?
An itchy arse is I don't know if it's Latin or, but it's the irritation of the skin at the exit of the rectum. It's called a pruritus ani.
Let's play the music. We really are learning a lot on this show, in fairness.
We are, yes. And damage or injury to the anal sphincter, which could be the result of damage during surgery or from anal sex, we're doing full cycle here, can lead to chronic constipation, which is a shame. But it does say next to that, flatus, which is, I do believe, flatulence. So I've done it.
There you go. You're on flatulence, and that is 7 clicks.
Which is the magic number.
That's that's sort of par, isn't it?
It is. If we do it in 7, we haven't failed, other than the fact that I've failed miserably to make this segment enjoyable.
Yeah, I think, but we've succeeded in making it painfully cringely and deeply offensive.
We have, so a small win.
So we can at least look on the bright side of that. I think we can leave that there. You've done 7. I think we've had enough talk on that WikiLink. That was genuinely horrific for us and the listeners, and really probably was. any of our family members that will be listening to this podcast. They will really, really enjoy that segment.
It was yes, it was a bit of a guff, to borrow a flatulence term.
And funnily enough, my fake news fart is following in somewhat of a theme. So before we go to part 2, we will do the quick fake news fart with Dean. Dean, are you ready?
Genuinely, after that last, I don't know. Yes, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Right, the headlines are a bit shorter this week. They're quite snappy. So
they're shorter every week, aren't they?
So far, yes, but don't worry. Next week I'll find a giant one. I promise.
Oh, you better.
So they'll be quite short and snappy. I might push you for a quick answer to see what's off the top of your head, and then we can have a fantastic discussion about it afterwards.
Excellent. Here we go.
Number 1. Spirit of St. Louis stole my whiskey. Number 2. John Lennon's poltergeist shaved my balls. Number 3. Ghost of Michael Jackson bummed my monkey. Now,
it has to be the poltergeist. It got the biggest laugh. The poltergeist shaving the John Lennon ball guy.
John Lennon's poltergeist shaved my balls.
That's the one.
It's not. That's not real news. That's fake news. I came up with that on the toilet earlier.
While shaving your balls, or?
Yes, and looking at a picture of John Lennon, which, true fact, there is a picture of John Lennon in my toilet.
But I hope you weren't shaving your balls. In fact, if you were, that's fine. It's not a problem.
Maybe we can do a plug for Manscaped.
Maybe we can, yeah. I had a housemate who signed up for that and found it rather embarrassing every time it arrived.
Yes, I can imagine that would probably be the case. Yeah. Is it plastered all over the outside of the box?
Yeah, and I would call up to him and be like, Danny, your Manscaped's here.
That is quite funny, in fairness, yeah.
It was pretty savage for him.
I think for our age, it's we've that ship has sailed somewhat. We're in our mid-30s, but I think anyone probably 16, 17, 18, I really think that is very in vogue right now, being completely naked on the body.
Yeah, he was like 20 or something, I guess. I can't remember, to be honest, now.
Ah, well, there you go. Makes sense.
It does.
Dean and I have a big bush.
Right.
So there's you've got 2 more to guess. The spirit of St. Louis stole my whiskey, or the ghost of Jacko bummed my monkey.
It's got to be the ghost of Jacko.
You got it right, Dean. You got it on number 2,
yes.
So neither of us get a point. We remain at 2-1.
I've cancelled you out.
Yep. Again, you did it last week. You guessed it on the second one.
I'm getting good at these second guesses.
How did you know it was the ghost of Jacko bummed my monkey and not the spirit of St. Louis stole my whiskey?
I just think it was too... It was like you planted that there to try and make me think, well, there's 2 really weird ones and one quite sensible one. I'll go for the sensible one. But
yes, that was my plan. That was my plan. I thought it was quite a well constructed fake news fart, wasn't it? The spirit of St. Louis stole my whiskey.
It was cunning, but not cunning enough.
It's almost like something that would be in a genuinely interesting magazine or paper, as opposed to the Sunday Sport with the ghost of Michael Jackson bummed my monkey.
Yeah, I know you don't read stuff like that, so it's only disreputable magazines and newspapers that you read. I know what you're like.
So before we go, we'll apologise to the LGBTQ
friends, family.
Yep.
The LGBTQ.
Michael Jackson's family.
Yep. John Lennon.
John Lennon. Yep. That was a deeply, deeply offensive first half. So sorry about that. But don't worry, we're going to be back in a minute. So say bye, Dean, and we'll be back in a moment.
They've tuned out already, so we can probably just go. But bye.
No, fuck it. Hello again. Welcome back to part 2 of the WikiLinks podcast. I'll just say one more time before we move on. We really are sorry about that first half, aren't we, Dean?
We're sorry.
That was said with a lot of genuine emotion.
No, we are genuinely sorry though. Like honestly, that was really rough.
Yeah, rough defines it. I like that.
Yeah.
So Dean didn't get any points on the fake news part, but then again, neither did I. So the points are remaining at 2-1. We're locked in. So hopefully this week, after I do my WikiLink, I'm not going to end on 7, and neither of us get a point again. Hopefully, I'll either. I hope I'm fewer than 7, really, because I don't want to do this forfeit.
No, I don't blame you. I don't either. But there you go.
Do you fancy some witch's milk?
I don't fancy witch's milk, and I certainly don't fancy attempting to order some in a local coffee shop. It sounds quite a traumatic experience for myself and the waiting staff.
So that being the case, how difficult is my WikiLink? What is it, Dean?
Well, I was worried that I'd made it quite difficult, and now I'm thinking I've made it really easy. But we'll see.
We never go the path that the original assumes. I thought on the first one, from Bill and Ted to flatulence, you would have jumped to like the discussion we had last week about Whoopi Goldberg and naming herself after a whoopee cushion. I thought you might have very cleverly gone that route, but you didn't.
No, I believe that's cheating. I think if you're going to be using pages that you've used in the past, it's I don't know. I just feel like it's not good sport.
But it's all knowledge, isn't it, mate? You would become a genius now when you're talking to your friends in the street. You can say, "Hey, do you know Karen Johnson?" No, that's not her name. Do you know Whoopi Goldberg? She named herself after a whoopee cushion, and you can just seem so knowledgeable.
It's true. But it's funny you should talk about geniuses, because this particular WikiLink could be to do with an evil genius. So we'll go right in, and I'm going to challenge you to get from Dr. Eggman.
Okay, is that from Sonic, is he not?
From Sonic, yes, to Flea Circus.
Dr. Eggman to Flea Circus. That is a really obscure link.
I know. That's why I wanted to make something challenging. So I was worried I made it too challenging. But it's not actually as challenging as I was worried about when I tested it out. So we'll see.
Well, I initially feel like I'm at a complete dead end. So maybe you might do well here. I'll have to have a little think about my route. Now, I always knew Dr. Eggman as Dr. Robotnik.
Yes, Dr. Ivo Eggman Robotnik. But the Wikipedia page is actually Dr. Eggman.
It is strange. So that must be his proper name. I didn't have a Sega, so I never played Sonic myself. But, of course, everyone knows about Dr. Eggman, don't they?
You poor child. I had Sega Mega Drive, Sega Saturn. I was a big Sega fan. In fact, I've got a little retro Sega console that has all the Sonics and everything on there. I do like a good Sonic.
I didn't know you were a Sega boy. I had the Super Nintendo, but I never had any Sega devices.
Really? Oh no, I had all the Sega devices. Well, I was a little bit of a spoilt brat, really. I had all the Nintendos, all the Segas, all the PlayStations, all that jazz.
Oh wow! No, I was very late into video gaming. I only got the Super Nintendo just before the PlayStation came out, because obviously the price had dropped. Got it from a cash converters, and then a few years later got the PlayStation. But I didn't play any video games until I was about 9, which is very late, isn't it?
That's so late, mate. Wow, that's an interesting fact. I didn't know that about you. And yeah,
I think maybe that's why I'm generally quite bad at games. I'm not very good. I always tend to have to put games in the easy setting. I'm just not exactly good at them. I'm very good at the tactical games where I don't have to react very quickly. But on the faster moving, more traditional games, I really suck ass.
Yeah, I mean, we're both like that. I mean, I've been playing computer games. I'm quite good at the old-fashioned 2D platformers and everything like that. But you put me on a Call of Duty or something where I've got to run around in 3D, and I am shocking. I feel
I would be awful.
Nausea. Yeah,
I get the same thing. Yeah, they make me feel sick.
Yeah, it's just weird.
Isn't that what that really popular game? Now we're really going to show our age here. Like, isn't Fortnite a game like that?
I've heard of it. but that's as far as it goes.
I've been trying to keep a vague finger on the pulse of youth, as I have a daughter now who will be probably getting into some of these things. So I think I've learned that Fortnite is sort of like a FPS, I think they're called, first-person shooter, but not anything I have even the slightest bit of interest in playing.
No, but you still know a lot more than me. Sonic and Dr. Eggman himself is more my ballpark.
That is certainly, yeah, that's definitely more our generation. But getting from Dr. Eggman to, what was it, Flea Circus?
Yep, as in a traditional flea circus.
Now, is quite tricky for me. Like I said, I never played Sonic, so I don't know if he had maybe enemies who were fleas or little creatures or anything like that. Because that would be quite a simple link. If he had, maybe there might be a boss in the game who was a giant flea.
That would be handy, but I don't remember him myself. But there is an interesting one in here. Eggman's name is a reference to the Beatles song "I Am the Walrus." Goo 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 choo.
Is it really?
It is, yeah.
Wow. Now that is probably the best fact we've heard on the entire series, I would say.
I know, it's amazing.
Wow. He's named after the John Lennon song "I Am the Walrus," where John Lennon says, "I am the Eggman."
That's it. And although the character was always named Dr. Eggman in Japan, Sega of America changed his name to Dr. Ivo Robotnik. So that's how you know him.
Ah, is that why we have two different names?
It is, but he is Dr. Eggman. That's why I've always known him as Dr. Eggman.
I'm always going to call him that from now on.
Yeah, I tend to shun anything from America. No offense.
No offense to all the Americans out there. Now, an interesting point there. Is that technically racism there, Dean? Are you making a judgment based purely on the fact that something's from a certain country?
I don't shun Americans. I just shun anything from America, but not the people. I like the people.
You like the people. There you go. You've covered your bases there. You've reeled it back in nicely.
He's done it.
So something that just jumped into my head. So I think I'm going to go down that route because I'm not entirely sure which other way to go. Is Sonic is a hedgehog, and I'm sure hedgehogs are absolutely infested with fleas. I'm sure I've read that or heard that or something. I could be completely wrong there and sound like an absolute dick. Well, we do sound like that anyway, but that's what's jumping into my mind. And just before I leave the Dr. Eggman page, did you watch that new Sonic movie, the live action thing?
I didn't. I know it was slated.
It had Jim Carrey, who's one of my favourite actors, but I didn't watch it.
No, me either. Maybe we should give it a chance.
Maybe. I mean, they completely redesigned the Sonic character because of the monumental amount of backlash they received after the first trailer was released, and everyone thought Sonic looked fucking weird and bizarre. So there was so much negative press, they completely re-edited the film and changed the digital interpretation of Sonic. I don't know if you knew that.
That's what I've heard, yeah. So I guess maybe it would be worth watching now. Now that
it is quite funny if you look at the original trailer and just see how bizarre Sonic looks. That's quite a good laugh.
They should have made it with the bizarre character. I think it would have been certainly interesting.
So it doesn't actually have a link straight to Hedgehog in here, but it does link to Sonic the Hedgehog. So I think that will be my first click because I don't see just Hedgehog. So there's my first click. I'm on Sonic the Hedgehog.
You've done it.
Now, Sonic the Hedgehog is the title character, the protagonist of the Sonic the Hedgehog video game series published by Sega. That doesn't get the interesting news noise because I think everyone knows that.
I would imagine so. There may be the older listeners. I know your parents are listening potentially. And yeah, they might not have known that. So, it's not worthy of a noise, but it was worthy of comment.
Will your parents be listening?
I hope not after that first part of the episode.
Yeah, you don't want them to know what you get up to in the bedroom, really, do you?
I'd rather not.
And in here is a link to Hedgehog, because Sonic is a blue anthropomorphic hedgehog. So I'm going to straight into click number 2, and I'm on Hedgehog.
That's a good shout.
And now I'm hoping this might link to fleas. I'm going to have a quick Control F and look for flea. It's not there.
It's not there. Now that's thrown you a bit, has it?
Somewhat, but I'm sure I can link somehow. I am very into animals, but this just shows my gulf and lack of knowledge about them. Because I'm sure anyone who had a bit more knowledge about animals would surely be able to link to fleas with all these clickable animal links here. But I don't.
Yeah.
I don't off the bat really know. There is a click for fatty liver disease,
Nice.
domestic hedgehogs, late Middle Ages, gestation
Badgers.
period. Now badgers. Now I would be sure that they're covered in fleas, but I don't know. Have you ever been
Did
covered
you know
in
that
fleas?
hedgehogs can suffer from balloon syndrome?
What's that?
I have been covered in fleas.
Yeah, well, let's talk about the you covered in fleas before we talk about the balloon syndrome. So, what was this event of you being covered in fleas?
It related to a trip to Italy when I decided to sleep outside because I was in a bad mood. And
Is this all true so far? Just so I know, is this true?
This is true. And I woke up with all these tiger mosquitoes and fleas, like savaging pretty much every part of my skin.
Did you go back in with your tail between your legs, apologising?
I did, and then I had to go to hospital when I came back to the UK.
Because of the fleas?
And mostly probably the tiger mosquitoes. I had to get on quite a strong course of antibiotics.
Jesus, now that's not a very pleasant event.
No, and neither is balloon syndrome, by the sounds of it. It's a rare condition that hedgehogs can suffer, in which gas is trapped under the skin.
Oh.
It causes the animal to inflate. There was a reported case in 2017. The BBC reported a case in which a male hedgehog was almost twice its natural size, literally blown up like a beach ball with incredibly taut skin.
Now, I didn't know they could just puff up like that. That really is quite sad, isn't it?
It's horrible. And another true story is there was one time when I was walking to school as a kid, probably about maybe 9 or 10 years old. There was a drain pipe, and a hedgehog had obviously sort of was maybe trying to have a drink out of there or something. It was like one of these little open drain things where someone had not put the cover back after doing some roadworks or something on a little cul-de-sac. And I pulled the hedgehog out. I managed to not cut myself pulling this hedgehog out, but he was obviously dead, and it was quite disturbing seeing this little hedgehog's face, like, you know.
Oh, bloated and distorted and rotting.
No, it was probably, I walked that route every day. It had probably quite recently drowned, but it was still quite a traumatizing image for a young child.
Poor hedgehog. I think we've taken it down quite a sad route here. You arguing with your family, sleeping in some sort of rubbish bins and getting infested with fleas, finding dead hedgehogs.
It's got a real somber tone, this episode, isn't it?
Now, just before I click off this, what made you sleep in the rubbish bins and not on like a bench or something?
I didn't sleep in rubbish bins. I slept in a field.
Sorry, I must have jumped to that conclusion. In my head, I saw you like climbing into a bin or something like that.
No, it was on quite a nice campsite, and I found a bit of a field on a hill with a beautiful view, all the stars and stuff, and I just laid out there. And I did have a blanket, but obviously the blanket had come off in the night or something, the sleeping bag, and suddenly I just realised I'm a bit itchy, and I looked down and there was just about 5 of these tiger mosquitoes biting me, and hundreds of bites, and loads of these little fleas that I had to brush off. It was pretty horrendous.
I like the fact you had a blanket, even though you'd had a big row with your family. Apparently, instead of just storming out, you said, "Right, I've had enough of this," but you had the foresight to grab a blanket before you stormed out.
I said, "Right, bollocks! I'm just going to sleep under the stars," and grabbed all my shit, and yeah.
Well, at least you planned ahead. When I get that angry, I don't even really tend to think. I would have probably ended up storming out in my boxers, which would have been even worse.
Well, there you go. So I'm glad I'm not you.
Yeah. And on that note, I'm going to click. I think I'm just going to click insects, because I believe a flea is an insect, is it not?
I believe so.
So there's my number 3.
You're getting close.
I'm on insect now.
Some rather interesting looking insects, and I think you should probably enlighten the audience with your phobia at this stage.
Yeah, well, I know what you're getting at there. You're suggesting a phobia of moths, which I do have, but the older I get, the more this develops just into a general phobia of insects.
Is that why you caught the spider earlier?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there are going to be some pedants out there who are saying, "Oh, spider's not an insect; it's an arachnid." Um, well aware of that, but they look and move like insects, and I don't like
They
them.
do. They do.
I just have and what's worse than moths for me, the thing that really haunts my nightmares, and I can't think of anything more horrific. I used to see these in the Caribbean, and oh, they make me sick just thinking about them. Is those giant locusts? You know the things?
Hmm. I do. We have them out here.
I bet you do, and that is
Yeah.
probably why I'll insist you visit me next time we meet up.
Yeah. We have some pretty interesting insects out here in Australia.
I know it's something that's always terrified me about Australia. It's not the snakes. I can deal more with reptiles. Don't bother me, but insects really turn my stomach. I can't be near insects.
Well, the thing is, my mum, she hates the geckos. She finds the little geckos. She thinks they're really dirty. But to me, we let the geckos live in the house. We have a number of geckos that just crawl around the walls, and we often name them because they eat the insects. And we haven't experienced. We've had one huntsman since I've been here, actually in the house. A
The
big,
huntsman spider.
big spider. A
Oh, have
huntsman
you seen
spider
one?
in the
You've
house.
actually had an encounter with a huntsman.
I've seen a lot of spiders. I'm living in Australia, mate. You see spiders.
Wow, I thought the huntsmen were slightly more rare. I didn't realize they were. I know everyone says, "Oh, Australia's full of insects," but I always thought that was just an overstatement. But it's quite literally true, is it?
Well, I mean, if you go out in the bush, then yeah, you're going to see a lot of insects and creatures and snakes and whatever else, cane toads. But
How did you deal with
yeah,
the huntsman spider in your house?
we left it there for a few days. Me and Joy were a bit too scared to do anything about it, and then we told the landlord, and he just came in with a broom, and just literally like brushed it from the ceiling, and then it was like on the floor, and he just swept it out like proper Aussie casual, like yeah, nah, it's all good, mate. Yeah, you just fucking do this, mate. Okay.
So is that what you'll do next time?
No, I'll call the landlord again.
Okay, yeah. So you're not wild on them yourself then?
No, they're quite big and quite scary, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't like to go near that. No, that
No.
be a bit put off by that. Yeah, I'd like to get off this page anyway because I don't really like the look. I don't really like the look of these things. But there is a link on here, I should say, for fleas. So that is almost certainly going to be my number 4.
Yeah, hey.
And I'm on flea now. The little picture of the flea jumping there, he does look very cool, doesn't he?
It's pretty amazing. And did you know? And I'm bringing this from my brain. I've read it online. It might just be total bollocks. But if a human could jump as high as a flea, they would jump over the Empire State Building.
Yes, I have heard this fact before. Yeah, how high they jump in relation to their body.
In relation to their body, of course.
Is this? Yes, I mean I have heard some people misstate that fact and say that a flea can jump over the Empire State Building, which is not correct.
That's amazing. I love that some people are that idiotic.
Yes, it's surprising, isn't it? But you really would be shocked at the idiocy of the general public.
Mm.
I mean, and the people listening to this show.
Of course. There's only it could only be more idiotic than us if you're actually listening to this show.
Now, I think when humans jump in the Olympics, they wear spandex, but the flea doesn't wear anything. So imagine if it was in spandex. Imagine how high it'd be able to jump.
Then it would jump the Empire State Building.
Then it could, yeah, because it would have no drag.
Exactly. And imagine a flea in drag.
A flea in drag is a fantastic thought. In spandex and drag.
Exactly, yeah. It's quite erotic.
No, that's definitely one for the socials, I think. I think the flea in spandex and drag is oh, my mind is racing at these thoughts.
Oh, totally.
Now, I'm sorry to say it, Dean, but on the page for fleas, which I'm sure you've already looked, haven't you?
There's a clickable link for flea circuses. I know, I see it there. But before you move on and claim your victory, apparently fleas appear in human culture in such diverse forms as flea circuses, poems like John Donne's erotic The Flea,
An
works of
erotic novel
music.
called The Flea.
Apparently, so no, erotic poem by John
Sorry, yeah.
Donne.
Do you think you could? Do you think we should read this to the listeners?
I think we should, to be honest.
Shall I let you do that, Dean? Do you want to take that away? Have you found the poem itself? Is it short? Is it long?
I'm looking at the page for The Flea poem, and it does appear there is an excerpt from The Flea. However, it's written in kind of ye olde English typography. But apparently, the third line, "Me it sucksed first, and now sucks thee," which could allude to exactly what the narrator thought the flea and he himself wished to be doing. So
is it quite literally a poem about intercourse with a flea?
I can, yes, I think it is. It fucked me first, and now fucks thee. Oh no, sorry, that's a old English. F and S was a bit interchangeable back then, so I do apologise.
I see. That's interesting. It's saying it fucked me first, and now that changed to fucked.
Yeah. Because F's were S's back then, weren't they? They looked very similar.
But how on earth would you fuck a flea?
You'd have to have a rather small dong.
Oh, it'd have to be extremely small.
I've heard of micro penises, but that would be next level.
I mean, it would be pretty much imperceptible to the human eye, would it not, if your penis were small enough to penetrate a flea?
In spandex and in drag.
I mean, if you took your pants down, you'd look like a sort of a smooth action man, wouldn't you, if someone had a dong that size?
You would. It's an interesting concept. Sex with a flea, and
sex
I didn't
with
realize.
a flea,
yeah, I didn't realize there would be a 1598 poem about such a concept, but apparently so.
We'll give it a plug, shouldn't we? I think. I bet nobody knew that. I think it might. In fact, you know what? It deserves a noise, doesn't it? Because find out that there's an erotic metaphysical poem about a flea, I think everyone will be jumping on to find out some more about this. Interesting discussion for the coffee around the coffee machine.
It is, yeah. You could say fleas were everywhere throughout the Renaissance, both in real life and erotic poetry.
And did you know that there was actually an erotic poem about intercourse with a flea? I mean, you really will be the centre of attention if you bring up some of these facts at work.
You will.
And I'm going to do it then. It's going to be my fifth click, and it's going to be to Flea Circus.
You've done it in 2 clicks less.
So that's it. I've done it in 5, so that's a point to me.
It is. I'm absolutely devastated. I was worried that I've chosen too much of an easy one for you, and it turns out I was right.
So that puts the series now at 3-1. 3-1 to me. The next episode is the last episode. So there are essentially 2 points up for grabs, Dean. You can, in the next episode, turn it into 3-3.
I can. So
and then we'd have to find a tiebreaker.
We would. I hope I can do that. Obviously to give myself a chance, but also to add some jeopardy, a bit of bit of interest into this show for once.
Well, it's still all to play for. At least it's not game over at this point. You can still pull it back. I certainly haven't won.
No.
I need to stop reading about flea circuses and looking at these funny little images. And because we're probably nearing the end of the show, and I think it's fair ending this one slightly early because I hate to say it, Dean, but it was a disgusting first half.
I know. Well, you challenged me, so it's your fault.
I did. I picked flatulence, so I'm the real homophobe here. But don't despair, because you've still got to do the shout-outs.
Hooray!
Now, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first? I'm being very friendly here.
I would say you can go first.
Okay, that sounded like you put an awful lot of thought into that, Dean.
I did, because I'm still trying to find out if walruses have fleas, so I'm not really concentrating on the episode right now.
I see. Okay. Did you want me to? Should we play some music while you search that, and you can come back and tell us, or should I just move on to the shout-outs?
Well, it does say fleas can be found anywhere, but they're unlikely to be on marine mammals like whales, porpoises, or seals. So I may well have been incorrect.
Oh dear.
I know.
Are you still having a search around for fleas on walruses?
Well, it does link to 9 of the weirdest penises in the animal kingdom. So I'm going to close.
Oh wow! No, hang on, hold on a minute, hold on a minute. I think you have to click that thing before we do our shout outs. Let's end on a high, and if you click that for me and just tell me about some of those.
It's not a wiki page, so strictly it's but I suppose we've completed the wiki game now, so I can go rogue.
You go off grid.
Echidnas, which is I do believe they're a marsupial type hedgehog. They have a 4-headed penis.
What's a 4-headed penis?
It's a penis with 4 heads.
Oh, a 4-headed penis.
Yes, and only 2 heads are put in to use at any one time, but they do have the option of having they have 4 heads to the penis, so that's an interesting fact.
Wow, is this one of the 9 weirdest penises? I can't blame it for being one of the 9 weirdest.
Well, it's it was the top of the list by the looks of it. Dolphins are next. They have a particularly dexterous phallus.
Oh, what? Like it can bend like an arm?
I guess so. Flatworms, they engage in penis fights.
Now that's a great bit of information.
Now, blue whales, they have the largest penis in the animal kingdom, which is around 8 to 10 foot.
Yes, I have heard this before. Doesn't it weigh the weight of a London bus or something like that? I think I've heard.
Yeah, and barnacles have penises which are nearly 8 times their body weight.
Okay, that's an interesting one too.
Yeah.
Is that all 9? Have you reached the bottom?
There's 2 more.
Oh, keep going.
Bedbugs, which are a rather unpleasant flea-like creature, which is interesting that we're back on that. But bedbugs stab their partner during copulation.
Well, I mean, if you did that in the human world, I think you'd be swiftly arrested, wouldn't you?
And rightly so. Well, females of the cave insect species wield a penis-like organ. So it's a female with a penis there in the insect world.
With a penis-like organ, it's not actually a penis. So that's a bit of a trick putting that on the list.
It is. So let's move on.
Oh, hey, it didn't have pig in that list. I'm surprised. Did you know that a pig's penis is like its tail?
What? Curly.
Yes, that's right. It's almost the same shape as its tail.
There you go.
So I think it must sort of corkscrew into the bitch pig. It's not called a bitch pig. It's called a swine. Okay.
I'm lost for words.
Well, that being the case, let's go on to shout outs. Did you still want me to go first, Dean?
I'm still reeling from my defeat and just the general tone of this episode. So please help me.
Okay, I'll help you. I'll jump in on shout outs. It's a bit of an unusual one, but I think it fits in because of the homophobic overtones that seem to engulf part 1. So it sort of fits in here. There's a YouTuber called Chris Stuckman, and Chris Stuckman does film reviews on YouTube. I've been watching him for a few years. He's not my favorite film reviewer, but I like what he does. He's quite cool. He's knowledgeable about films. He's been doing it for years and years and years. And yesterday, when I was on YouTube looking around, he'd uploaded a new video, which was an hour long, which caught my eye initially because his videos are generally 15-minute film reviews. But this one was an hour.
That's a long film review. That's almost as long as a film.
Well, that's the thing. It wasn't a film review. I thought it might be some sort of joke or something, but the title was "Why I Left the Jehovah's Witnesses and Became a Film Reviewer." And it was. I thought it was some sort of joke. I thought, what is this? This seems really odd. So I clicked it, thinking it might be some funny thing, but it's a genuine discussion about Chris Stuckman, the film reviewer, how he was raised as a Jehovah's Witness, and he talks in depth about how he was raised under this what he calls a cult. Because I never realized how dark the Jehovah's Witnesses could be. I always assume they're just those people walking around the streets and knocking on your door, giving you a bit of information, and then they move on. But there really is some horrendous stuff that goes on there. And he basically talks for an hour. He really opens up his heart and talks about, he's not been able to discuss this all his life, but now he's finally leaving this all behind. But because of this video, he says he's going to be disbarred. His mum and dad won't speak to him. None of his family are going to cut him off. And it's really quite sad. But he really opens his heart up, and it's a very, very interesting hour-long talk about how he's coming to terms with who he is, how he's trying to find himself. He talks about his sexuality and the troubles he's had. And I thought big respect to him for going onto YouTube, talking for an hour with, the amount of abuse you can get on these platforms is really horrible. But I thought big respect to him for going out there and just talking very much from the heart and just trying to divest himself of all these horrible things he's been through.
Wow. That's a very deep, touching and quite tragic, but has a happy ending, I guess, or it's certainly exactly. Empowering.
I think that's why I chose it for shout-outs. I did think when I watched it yesterday, I didn't pick it because I was pointing out the, I wouldn't say atrocities, but because I was pointing out the bad side of the Jehovah's Witness, because I want it to be good news. What I was picking it for was really his strength of character in saying, like, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I want to do, and you can accept me or you can dislike me or you can do what you want, but I like film reviewing, I want to make films, and this is me. And I thought big respect for doing that.
No, I've not heard of him, and I'll definitely check him out. He sounds like a really cool dude. And if his film reviews are interesting, then as a fan of Mark Commode like we are, it would be good to have another film reviewer to watch.
I do like watching those little short videos. They're quite quick things to watch if you're if you're eating dinner before you go to bed. Just a little 15-minute film review of a shitty movie. They're always quite entertaining. And it's
interesting that you should bring up a strength of character, because my good news is also a strength of character. But did you want a final thought on Chris Stuckman?
No, I was just going to say everyone just give that YouTube video a search. Obviously, just put Chris Stuckman and Jehovah's Witness, and it's a very, very interesting video, far more than I can explain in this couple of minute segment. But yeah, check it out, everybody.
So my shout out is again someone who's got real strength of character, and this time it's a young lady as opposed to a young man, and this young lady is a teenager. Her name is Yusra Mardini. Now you may recognize her if you watched the Olympics in Tokyo at all this year. I do believe that she's competed in the 100-meter butterfly swimming in the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Now, the reason I mention her is because as a teenager, she was born in Syria, and as a teenager, unfortunately, as we know, Syria's undergone a lot of severe tragedy of war and destruction. It's been a really horrible story of what's happened in Syria, with all the powers of the world fighting on different sides, and all sorts of political and social issues going on. So there's been a number of refugees that have come out of Syria, as we all know. And as a teenager, she fled Syria with her family, and she swam for 3 hours in the open sea. Now, the boat was filling up with water. It was overloaded. They were being smuggled by people smugglers. So it's a really sad story of what she went through and her family, as many refugees go through that kind of ordeal. But she swam for 3 hours in the open sea, steering her sinking boat to safety, helping every single passenger on board. And then she trekked from Greece to Germany by foot.
Wow.
And she's just competed in the 100-meter butterfly at the Olympics as part of the refugee team. So there's actually a team of refugees at the Olympics. And I thought that was a real amazing story of overcoming adversity. And just a point to make that I know immigration is a hot topic in the UK at the moment. It's been a hot topic in Australia for many years. But apparently this young lady would be in jail for saving lives under the proposed UK immigration bill.
Is that true?
That is sadly true.
That's remarkable, isn't it? Jesus.
It really is just a thought. If you're thinking of supporting this bill, the proposed UK immigration bill, just imagine that young Yusra Mardini would now be in prison rather than competing at the Olympics. So just one to keep in mind if you are anti-immigration, that these are human beings. And many of them are remarkable with a story to tell, like Yusra Mardini.
I like that. That's definitely worth a shout out. Good pick there, Dean.
Yeah, mate.
When did you settle on that one? I suppose when you were watching the Olympics.
I haven't actually seen any of the Olympics apart from watching some of the opening ceremony on mute,
Which is an odd way to watch it.
which was, I remember messaging you and saying, oh, it's got a really somber tone. And you were like, oh, no, it seems all right to me. And then when I said that I was watching it on mute because Joy was asleep, then I think you realised why it might have appeared so somber to me.
That did explain it. I think most things would be a bit somber if you watch them on silent.
Apart from a silent film.
Are they not somber? No, they could be funny, couldn't they?
They could be sort of Laurel and Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, or even a flea circus.
Well, it segued beautifully to link it back, and that was two nice shout-outs at the end. Basically, funnily enough, they both sort of linked to strength of human character, didn't they, there?
They did, I know, considering we didn't pre-plan that. It's interesting how there's been a number of strange coincidences in this episode, so it's interesting.
Yeah, we believe it or not, listeners, we really don't script this.
Believe it or not.
On that beautiful bombshell, I guess we'll say goodbye, and we'll be back next week for what will be the final episode. I'm leading 3-1, but Dean could get 2 goals in the next episode, and we could actually end the series 3-3. So we'd have to have an interesting tiebreak.
Wait a minute. Isn't there 3 points to play for per episode?
Are there 3?
Wait, no. Is it? Wait, no. Wait. No, there's 2. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine.
We're saying bye, are we?
Right. We'll say bye there, and we'll have a fun-packed episode next time and see if we have to do any tiebreakers, which will be even more thrilling.
Yeah, nah.
So don't worry. We'll what we won't do is just wing it and think of a tiebreaker off the bat, live on recording, that is very ill thought out and not well done. It will certainly be a thrilling end to the series, the next episode. So make sure you tune back in. It will be the same time next week. And I guess I will say bye, and then I will let Dean say bye. So goodbye, everyone, and I'll leave it to you, Dean. Bye-bye.
Bye.
This has been a Dating Tips for Guys production, with special thanks to Freezerfix and Audacity. Follow the WikiLinks podcast on Twitter @WikiLinksPod, Instagram @WikiLinksPodcast, or email us at wikilinks.podcast@gmail.com.